What's good, y'all? Back again, another day. It's your boy, the Curtis Short, and today we're talking about the importance of keeping a strong mind. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, once again, I am the Curtis Short. I like to sit down and talk to you guys, give information like this, things that have helped me through life, things that I find very useful, in the hopes that maybe you'll find it useful as well. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. We're happy to have you as always. And like I said, what we're talking about today is having a strong mind. And it's funny because a lot of people think that having a strong mind is turning off your emotions or turning off your feelings or just being emotionless. And in actuality, it kind of means the opposite. And in this video, I hope to explain how using your emotions and making the right judgment sometimes can work out in your favor. Now obviously, there are situations where you do have to turn off your emotions, or let me not say turn off your emotions. What I'm trying to convey is there are instances in when you will have to channel your emotions and use them in the proper place. You don't turn them off, you don't become emotionless, you don't become cold, callous, calculated. Now granted, there are a lot of people that do that, and you need to be aware of those people because they operate off of a totally different playbook. But as humans, we are emotional. A lot of us have emotions, and with those emotions we have to be able to tame them and use them. Now, I'm not speaking to the people that know how to turn off their emotions, because you guys got it. I'm speaking to my more so emotional people and how they can channel their emotions and use them in constructive and productive ways. So, being strong mentally means embracing the truth, and also dealing with the reality of circumstances. A lot of people don't like to see things for what they are. They want to create fantasies, and they want to create illusions, and they want to, lie to themselves and tell themselves, things that make them feel better, rather than dealing with things as they are and coming up with solutions to solve those problems as they are in the moment. And, what I really want to talk about more than anything is mindset. And I know, before you click off, because you're tired of hearing people talk about mindset. You go to dating channels, they talk about mindset. You go to financial channels, they talk about mindset. Everybody's talking about mindset. And, I hate to say it, but I apologize. I am going to be talking about mindset, because mindset is crucial. You have to have the right mindset, and you have to be able to frame things in a certain way in order to get the productive outcomes that you want. Especially if you want tangible, practical solutions, which is what I always try to provide with this channel. So for me personally, what I've learned on my journey and what I've experienced is a lot of people will tell you not to think about the negatives of what's going on, or not to worry about the worst case scenarios, but I'm always going to tell you to do the opposite. What you want to do is you want to start from the worst case scenario sometime. And the reason you want to start from the worst case scenario, which sounds counterproductive, is because one, it gives you the chance to figure out the risk versus reward factor. It lets you determine if the risk is worth the reward. If you lose everything, is it worth taking that shot, taking that chance? There's an interview of Jeff Bezos, who's one of the richest people in the world. And, he says that the reason that led him to decide to quit his job and start working at Amazon was because he asked himself, if he let this idea slip away, or if he passed this idea up, would he be able to live with himself? And he said no.
80. And so, okay, now I'm looking back on my life. I want to have minimized the number of regrets I have. And I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret having wanted, trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried And I knew
So
that that would
was the
haunt me
reason for him
every day.
to
And
decide to go
so
ahead on
when
a
I
push
thought
forward with Amazon and take that risk and leave his safe job. Plus, when you're in that mindset, it allows you to strategize and plan, and you could come up with solutions to solve things that may pop up. That way, you aren't blindsided. Because when you know what the worst case scenario is, then you could come up with solutions to deal with the worst case scenario because you've already plotted it and you've already planned it. So, for example, when I was deciding whether I wanted to quit my job or not back when I was teaching a long time ago, I had to weigh the pros and the cons. And the biggest con that I could think of was that I would lose everything. I wouldn't have my security, I wouldn't have my insurance, I'd go broke. And that was a very real reality. And I had to determine, would it be worth it for me to take this chance and possibly lose everything for the opportunity that I might be successful? And for me, the answer was yes. And when that worst case scenario did come and I did end up homeless and I did lose everything, I was at peace because I knew that I gave it 100%. And then the other part of that is, on the other side of me being homeless and, being struggling and getting evicted and all of the negative stuff, it put me in a position to where I would have never been able to reach teaching. Or, it would have took me 10, 15, 20 years to get where I've been able to get by taking that chance. So even the worst case scenario turned out to be a great opportunity for me because losing everything, it made me more resilient. I lost the fear of losing everything because I knew what it felt like. I already had everything taken away from me. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a solid household where my mom took care of everything. So I didn't know what it felt like to have my lights turned off or to be evicted or anything like that. And I always wondered. And so when I took that chance and I lost everything, that fear dissipated because I already knew what it felt like. I had to sell all of my sneakers. I had to sell all of my hats. I had a car repossessed. Like everything that I thought would have been horrible for me, I survived it. And when I survived it, it made my mind stronger. And so those are things that you have to ask yourself and prepare, is it worth it? For me, the answer was yes. And, I don't think I'd be able to sit here and talk to you guys and ask you or tell you to make these decisions had I not walked in those footsteps. Another thing you want to do as far as your mindset is you have to train yourself to see opportunities inside of the situations that you may deem unfortunate. Or as Robert Greene and 50 Cent said in the 50th Law, learn to turn your into sugar, aka hood alchemy. By the way, if you've never read the 50th Law, man, you got to check that out. That is an amazing book. And I give you a couple other book suggestions, but the 50th Law, that is a great book. A lot of times when bad things happen to us, we like to perceive them as bad. And the reason I say that is because things happen and we determine whether they're good or bad. Things just happen. Life doesn't say, I'm gonna throw this bad thing at this person. Life just says, it's time for your car to break down. And when your car breaks down, you have to determine whether that's an opportunity or, a bad thing. And for me, I'll give you a couple examples. With me losing my job right now, I could be down and out, I could be unfortunate, I could be sad, I could be in a really bad place mentally. Or I could use it as an opportunity to realize how much time I have now. I can focus on studying and getting my credentials. I can focus on creating content for you guys and giving you information that you could use. I can spend more time with my family. I can write, I can think, I can take walks. There's a lot of positives that came from me being displaced from the workforce. And if I just get stuck on the fact that I'm no longer working, then I miss out on a lot of opportunities that I could be utilizing to add value to the marketplace. So again, it's all about mindset. It's all about perspective. Another example, my grandmother passed, you know. I could be upset about the fact that she's no longer here, or I could be grateful for the fact that she's no longer here and she's no longer in pain. And you know, my aunts and my uncle and my mom and everybody that was chipping in taking care of her, they don't have to worry about taking care of her anymore because she's no longer here. And again, she's not in pain. She didn't want to be here living like that in pain and struggling and have to have people take care of her. The little bit of memory that she had left, that's not, you know, she didn't want to be upset. She didn't want to be in pain anymore, and she's no longer there. An opportunity that just popped up, you know. At the recording of this video, I found out that my granddad is in the hospital right now. You know what I'm saying? I could easily say, oh, I'm not recording, or I don't feel like it, but I think it happened for a reason so that I can utilize it and show you guys, man. It's all about your mindset, man, and just thinking positive and finding the good situations in what we perceive to be as negative or bad. And speaking of things being negative and bad and, you know, shifting our minds and changing our situations and our circumstances, let's change my like count, man. Hit that like button. Do your boy a solid. Hit that like button, man. And because the worst case scenario of you hitting that subscribe button is nothing, go ahead on and hit that too, man. You know, maybe you might lose a couple seconds or something like that, but hit that subscribe button, man. Come on over, man. Rock with your boy. Rock with your boy. But anyways, you know, moving back, by framing your mind to see opportunities even in bad situations or situations that we define bad, you know, it shows you that you can change your perspective. You can shift your mindset, you know what I'm saying? You can show how principled you are, and you can show others how to be strong as well. And people will look at you and they'll see, you know, that you're keeping your presence of mind and you're doing the best you can with the opportunities that you have in the hand that you're dealt, and you're making the most out of it. You know, other people will look at you, and then you build a community of other people who think the way that you think, and they see the opportunities that are presenting themselves to you because you're taking advantage of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. You're figuring it out and you're using it in ways to help you move forward. You know, sometimes you fall back, and that's okay. You know, I told y'all guys, at one point in time, I was walking to Food Line. And I'm not downplaying Food Line whatsoever. I'm just explaining to y'all, I didn't have a job with I had a master's degree and I had to work at Food Line. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a car. I had to walk to Food Line. You know, I barely had a place to lay my head. And even when I was down and out, when I was in my worst, when I only had like 2 or 3 outfits and 1 pair of sneakers, and I was just in the dumps. I mean, just, I don't know. I can't even explain to you guys the mental toll that it could have taken on me. You know what I'm saying? I was able to overcome those situations because I always knew that I wouldn't be there for long. And what you also got to remember, sometimes the present isn't the best. So you got to look ahead. You got to focus on where you're going and understand that it's a part of the journey. A lot of people don't value their lives because they can't see past where they are in the moment. And they get so wrapped up in this situation right here, they don't realize that they have things that they can lose. You know, they don't realize that just because they're in a bad spot right now, they might not be in a bad spot tomorrow. And a lot of people have ended their lives because of bad situations, and it's so unfortunate because a situation doesn't define you. A circumstance doesn't define you. You define you, and you determine, you know, how your life is going to play out. And you determine, you know, if the situation that you're going through is an opportunity to grow through it or to go through it. And, you know, things change, y'all. And it's just so unfortunate that a lot of people make long-term decisions off of short-term situations. So, you know, hopefully you found value in this video, and hopefully you understand the importance of working on your mind. And what I want to do is list off some books that you can read to help with that mindset. And again, I try to give practical books just like I try to give practical advice. I don't like just saying, hey, read this book and it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo and, you know, things that you can't actually apply. So earlier I mentioned The 50th Law by 50 Cent and Robert Greene. I encourage everybody to read that book. Another book also by Robert Greene is The 33 Strategies of War. Specifically on mindset, there's a chapter about the presence of mind. I'd encourage you to read that. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I just gifted that book to my boy Gio. Happy belated birthday. I know your birthday was like 2 weeks ago, but I just sent him that book because he's always talking about positivity and mindset, and I think that book has a lot of value. So As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Another book is Lead the Field, and that is by Earl Nightingale. It's definitely a good book. There's a chapter that talks about acres of diamonds, and it's really good. I definitely encourage you to read that. And the last book I'll give you is, and I hate to say it because it is repetitive, but the book is good. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's a really good book, guys. I know it's cliche. I know a lot of people recommend that book, but I've read it, and hopefully some of the other books that I've named for you are books that you haven't heard of and you haven't read, and you find value in them. Those are books that I've read personally multiple times, and those are books that I can say have definitely helped shape my mindset, especially The 50th Law and The 33 Strategies of War. Those would be my top two. I encourage everybody to read all of Robert Greene's books. Don't listen to what you see on the internet or what you hear. His books are amazing. It just deals with the reality of the world. A lot of us didn't grow up in messed up situations. We weren't in the hood. We didn't have to deal with life or death choices all the time. And that makes us soft to a certain degree. It doesn't give us that edge, and it doesn't force us to always be on our toes and always think. But those Robert Greene books rather, it gives you that mindset without going through those situations. That way, when you do go through those situations, you can recognize them and deal with them appropriately. So those are some books that I suggest to you. Once again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll holler at you on the next one.